Hey, family. I'm excited to share a really cool God story with you today. Now, many of you know my story, but maybe there's a part of it that you don't know. So, I came here to America when I was 7 years old. My mother moved us here from France. She came on vacation, loved America, and decided she was going to stay, right? And so, I've been living in America for the past 33 years. I went to school here. I did everything I know. I learned English. Like, this is my primary language. I speak English better than any other language I speak. This has become my home. But for the past 33 years, I've been dealing with this legal battle of being legal here in the United States of America. And I went through many years of rejection after rejection as I filed paperwork. And I remember about 19 years ago, my mother went to France to go visit. And then when she tried to come back, customs actually stopped her and said, "Hey, you're that woman that stays too long. Like, last time you were here on vacation, you stayed for years. So we're not going to let you back in." And so I haven't seen my mother in over 19 years because she can't come here and I can't go there, because if I leave the United States, I can't come back. And so I haven't seen my mother in a really long time. And almost 2 years ago, um, my mother was in a coma and doctors were saying that it wasn't looking good. And I remember sitting there just devastated. I mean, what does it feel like to have the only parent that you have? I've never met my father. I don't know my father. My mother has played both roles in my life. She's the only parent I have, and I hadn't seen her in so many years. And I remember sitting there that night, just praying and saying, God, like, at least let me see my mother one more time. I remember as we continued to pray, doctors actually gave my mother hours to live. Um, man, do you know what it feels like to know that your mother is not going to make it and she may die in a few hours and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it? To go be by her side and to give her a hug when you hadn't done it in so many years. That's where I was at that time. And I remember I was supposed to be speaking at Recovery Church. I was teaching that night. And Pastor Phil reached out to me and said, Junior, if there's any time somebody shouldn't have to teach, it's probably right now with what you're walking through. Don't feel obligated. Somebody can step in. And I remember telling Phil, I said, well, this is all I have right now. So I'm going to get on that stage and I'm going to do what I believe God has called me to do. And I remember getting on stage that night and just preaching this message, just fired up for God. And I remember being on stage and sharing that and saying, guys, I don't know what's going to happen to my mother. She may live, she may die. Either way, I'm going to trust God because he told me that I can trust him. And I remember after preaching that message that night from a desperate place, my mother actually improved. How amazing is that? God is so faithful. As I was on stage preaching this message, my mother improved. And so fast forward to about a year and a half ago, and we're back in the process of filing for me to be legal here. And I get a letter in the mail that tells me that I have 33 days to leave the United States of America. Guys, I got an eviction notice from America. Now, many of us have dealt with rejection. Many of us may have even dealt with eviction. But do you know what it feels like to be rejected and evicted from a country? And I remember that night just, talking to my wife and feeling so defeated. Again, like, I don't know what to do. Typically, I've become a problem solver. A situation, a battle comes up, we can figure out how to navigate this. But when America tells you you have to leave, what do you do? And I remember that night just being so distraught. Then the next morning I woke up and I remember getting on my knees and praying to God. And as I was praying to God, I was apologizing. I said, God, you created me on purpose for purpose. Like, there's a reason why I'm here. And if you will for me to be in France, then so be it. Who am I to get in the way of your plan and what you have for me? And so I got down on my knees and I said, God, it is well with my soul. If you want me in America, if you want me in France, if you want me anywhere in the world, I will go, God, because I'm not here for me. I'm going to stop making things all about me. I'm here for you. And I remember leaving my house that morning And at 6 a.m., a really good friend of mine named Joe calls me up. And as we're talking, he's like, "Hey, man, you sound different." And I said, "Yeah, I just got an eviction notice from America last night. And it was devastating, man." And he said, "Junior, don't worry about it. Listen, we're going to find a solution. I'm going to get you the best lawyers and we're going to figure it out. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to get you a great job in France. I've been looking to expand my company anyway." And so God brought me hope through this man, right? He's constantly bringing hope, this God that we serve. And so we've been in this process for the last year or so, just waiting and praying and waiting and praying. And I got to share about it at church, and we've been waiting and praying. And many of you have been praying alongside of us. And every time I would preach a message, people would say, "Junior, are you legal yet?" And the answer was always no, right? We're not legal yet. We're still in this battle that we've been in for 33 years. And family, I just want to let you know that as of last week, I have a green card that came in the mail, and I am finally legally here in America. After 33 years, I'm finally able to say that I can stay here. And man, I got to tell you, I think my wife was shocked by my reaction. I think when we received the news, she probably thought I'd be jumping up and down, knocking things over, like, yeah, But the reality is I didn't. When I saw the news, I cried. I broke down and I started tearing up tears of joy because I just started thinking about God's faithfulness. I mean, 33 years into a battle, like I could understand fighting a battle for a year, 5 years, maybe 10 years. But can you imagine fighting a battle for 33 years? After a while, you get to this place where you're tired of fighting and maybe you give up even believing that it's going to happen. And so I just broke down crying, and I think my wife was shocked. Afterwards, I got excited about it. But at first, I was crying these tears of joy because it just reminded me that God is a promise maker and a promise keeper. Every word that he speaks will not return void, as he says in his word. And so I just want to encourage you guys. I don't know what battle you've been fighting. I don't know what you've been dealing with. I don't know how long it's been, but here's what I can tell you. After 33 years of rejection after rejection and an eviction, God won this victory and won this battle. And here's the cool part about that. As I mentioned before, my mother left and hasn't been able to come back, and I haven't been able to leave. And I just want to let you know that September 26th of this year, I am flying to France with my whole family, my wife and my kids, and I'm going to get to hug my mother for the first time in 19 years. And so, man, I just want to tell you, God is so faithful. I can't wait to hug my mother. I can't wait to celebrate with my mother. My mother is so excited right now. She's like, I get to see my son after 19 years and hold him in my arms. So you guys stay tuned. We're going to take a lot of pictures in London and France, hanging out with my mother. But I just want to let you know, I don't know what you're walking through today. Just remember this. God is faithful. He may not do it in your time, but in time, he will make it happen. You can trust in him.